Hello and thanks for checking out ChartGuys.com. We're proud to be one of the most successful technical analysis communities online, teaching you the skills to become a more confident, effective, and informed trader. Join our community of hundreds of analysts worldwide working together to learn the charts, generate profit, and achieve financial independence. For access to daily live chart analysis and market coverage, a thriving chat community, along with dozens of hours of exclusive educational materials. We look forward to seeing you. Let's check out some charts. Everyone checking in on the MJ sector, I've trimmed down the list we're going to cover in the video today, and basically it's names that I want to cover, and if I don't cover a name that I usually cover, it means that nothing has changed since the last time I talked about them. So yesterday I didn't have MedMen in the video, and I got a ton of messages, what about MedMen? Nothing changed from the previous day when I was talking about it. The bears are still in full control. We had a clear support level. Today that support level broke. The only support is the all-time low. The bears are still in full control, so just going to try and prevent from repeating myself, and hopefully at this point, if we've been watching long enough, we're going to be able to start giving our own analysis and being able to look at the MedMen chart and know what I would say. That's the goal, and then you start to do your own technical analysis, and then you have your own little twist on things, but that's when it all starts to make sense, when we start moving beyond and leaving the nest, so to speak, to be able to monitor it on our own, or at least know what I would say. So, for CGC, bulls haven't proven anything. We still have a daily bear flag possibility. If the bulls do not break 33.32 resistance sometime by the end of the week, the odds of a daily bear flag are going to remain very high. The only support we have is 31.63 and 30.75. The daily exponential resistance still remains, and the bulls aren't really doing anything. 2 green days in a row. Last time we saw any meaningful 2 green days in a row, that was 3 weeks ago. Cron has earnings coming up tomorrow pre-market. Stood out in a big way today comparative to peers. Why was it well in the green while everybody else was red? Well, if you remember after the APHA earnings in the video, I talked about how now the market is going to be looking bullish and saying, oh, I want to get into individual names and hope that we have a surprise like APHA got and a 20-30% gap up open. So that is the market saying that, wanting to gamble essentially and hoping for good earnings. If we get good earnings and Cron goes up tomorrow, it's going to happen for the next name, and we'll see a run up the day before earnings on ACB or whoever it is. I don't have the dates in front of me. I know we have a slew of earnings coming, but we'll see if Cron responds bullish and keeps that fundamental little bullish wind going that we have had ever since APHA reported its earnings. If it's a bull reaction, 1569 is resistance. If it's a bear reaction, the low of 1270 is support. APHA trying to form a daily higher low now. The consolidation has started, and we have to change the hourly trend back to the bulls to be confident the daily higher low has been set. So we had a little bounce at the end of the day, but anything under 715 is just an hourly lower high. If the bulls are going to quickly give us a daily higher low, which the bulls are obviously hoping for, it's going to have to look something like this with an hourly trend change and a move back up well over $7. That would give us a daily higher low, and we'd be looking back up at resistance from our recent high. This is a potential daily bull flag. If that fails to happen and we drop down and break 671 support, we then decrease the odds. So again, I'm always watching consolidation. I want to know, is it healthy and brief with low volume where we look for continuation? Or is it the kind of pullback that is more significant and we end up then looking for an equilibrium? So tomorrow will give us some information on that front, keeping in mind that APHA has not changed the daily trend, and unless we see that continuation move, the pressure does not stay on the bears. The bulls do not have continued buying pressure, have to see higher lows and higher highs on the daily, even after a significant bullish reaction on earnings. If we cannot change the daily trend, there is no sustainability on the bullish action. ACB, big bull move, giving it back to a certain degree. We're filling a gap. 653 support, and then the gap to fill is down at 626. And again, have to change the hourly trend for our daily higher low to be set. That's not going to happen anytime soon. It was a weak bounce this afternoon. We're going to have to see follow through, hourly higher low and higher high, if we're going to see a very healthy daily higher low form. And again, same thing. If we want to see continuation, we better form that hourly higher low and higher high tomorrow or Friday, because if we pull back down under 650, that opens the door up for an equilibrium being the more likely scenario into next week. Still no daily trend change on ACB nor APHA. That is the absolute must happen for the Canadian MJ Bulls into next week. TLRY, trying to change this daily trend to give us conviction that the weekly higher low has been established. And we're going to have to hold 39.31 and break 44.44. Earnings are next week, I believe. If it's a bearish reaction, we're going to be looking right back down at the low of 34.25. And if it's a bullish reaction, we'll be looking up at 51.03. If it is a bullish reaction, that's going to give us our weekly higher low. And again, expect some buying pressure into earnings if Cron has bullish earnings like APHA did. Hexo, getting very tight. This is a daily bear flag setup, or a weekly bear flag setup, I should say. The burden of proof remains on the bulls to prove something to us, considering we can't get over the daily exponential resistance and our daily higher highs have gotten no follow through. We remain skeptical of bulls. I need to see a clear bull move over 460 on solid bull volume over the daily exponential resistances if we're going to be looking at a clear momentum shift. If we do not get that, the bears stay comfortable. Currently, and for the last 8 days, we haven't traded higher than where we were to start, or I should say to end July. So again, there is no pressure on shorts right now. And until we see that happen, we can't expect much follow through. Bulls need to prove it to us. CTST, worth watching. Things are getting very tight, and we're going to expect a break sometime early next week. I'm watching a 4-hour tightening range where we have the high, low, lower high, higher low, lower high. 230 and 234 are the most important resistances, and support right now. Haven't set a clear higher low yet. I would say anything above 203 keeps this equilibrium intact. And if I were going to draw it out, if that makes it easier for you visually, low, high, higher low, lower high, scouting a higher low. Bulls are hoping it's 210, but we haven't gotten enough bounce follow through for us to call it our higher low yet. That's a nice pattern to be watching. Break is imminent, and ensure that there's a volume spike with that break, because that's when we see follow through. T-God bullish news in the sense that they are filing for an uplisting on the NASDAQ, I believe it is, but a gap up open and a clear bull break of key resistances. 530, or make that 330, was a double top. 340 and 342 were the only nearby resistances, and we broke all those levels. Looking for a first cross of the bull, looking for the first bull cross of the exponential 12 and 26 period that we've seen in many months. And that's a momentum shift. When we lose the hourly uptrend, as the hourly higher low is 327, but when we lose the hourly uptrend, we're going to be looking for a daily higher low to form. And the exponential supports holding as daily support would be a great sign. One thing I want to point out is look how similar this chart is. Lower high, lower low, lower high, quick higher low, and higher high. Compare that to TRUL. Very similar. The difference is TRUL broke one resistance level and could not break the second, and that's a bit of a red flag. Bulls need to prove themselves on TRUL within the next couple of days. We have some momentum building in Florida towards potentially getting on the ballot for 2020, but fundamentals aside, if we do not break 1431 and 1462 within the next few days, that's a red flag because it's a daily trend change with no follow through, which means zoom out and look for the potential of a weekly bear flag, which is still possible. So again, very similar to T-God, the difference being T-God got follow through with some news help and is much more convincing as a bull than TRUL currently is with its inability to see follow through. So I'm watching the inside. Actually, we got an hourly equilibrium on TRUL. And again, just to draw it for visual, high, low in the same candle, double top, higher low, lower high, higher low. And we ended the day with 1371 and 1365, two key supports. And key resistance is 1398 and 1405. Looking for a break of this hourly equilibrium on TRUL tomorrow. IIPR had earnings after hours, initially a bearish reaction. We're trading at 101.50, no big deal overall. I like IIPR because of the daily equilibrium. Real clear tightening range, and again, we did break support, but not significantly. So I'm just watching this tightening range, and if we pull back and hold 97.28, it'll be a higher low, and I'm just patiently waiting for a break of this tightening range because of the broader, longer-term pattern. If this was not a weekly uptrend after a month of consolidation where we're looking for a weekly higher low, I wouldn't care what the daily chart is doing. But I take the scaffolding of the trade setup with a clear, broader, longer-term pattern. I know what the most likely scenario is, which is eventually forming a weekly higher low. So I look for the clues that that is happening on the shorter-term time frame. And right now it's not happening yet, but I'm keeping an eye on it for a shift on the daily to be looking for that. Cureleaf, I'm interested in Cureleaf tomorrow. We have the daily equilibrium here. Low, high, higher low, lower high. We're scouting our daily higher low. Anything above 897 gives it to us. Bulls still have a lot of space to work with, about 6+% before we would break that level. But why I'm watching is the hourly RSI. So the hourly RSI is almost oversold. Did see a tiny bounce at the end of the day, but if we go red tomorrow and break 950, that hourly RSI is going to be getting oversold, and hourly oversold conditions is when we look for daily higher lows to form. So if looking for an entry on Cureleaf, let's just say hypothetically, we drop down and we drop to 945, and hourly RSI drops down under 30, and I make an entry at 945, I can put a stop under 897, and that's me looking for the equilibrium to continue playing out into next week. The risk there would be it's a fairly substantial risk in terms of percentage. It would end up being about a 6% risk, so you want to make sure your position size reflects that. I have started scaling in to a position on Cureleaf the past couple days. Currently it's red, but it's smaller positions because it's a swing trade, and that little bit of red is not significant. I made more today during some little day trade flips than what that red is. So I am interested to adding to my Cureleaf position. If we get that hourly oversold condition, I will add one more time and then look for that daily higher low to form. IAN, nice strong close. Bulls still keeping control here, looking for the daily bull cross of these exponential moving averages. Hourly time frame, still just fine overall. Anything above 399 is an hourly higher low, and we're going to look to test resistance of 428. Stood out today. It went slightly green and held on much better than the vast majority of MJ, as the S&P 500 was very weak this morning, and we didn't see a ton of correlation. Definitely some correlation when the S&P 500 started recovering. We started seeing some NJ recover, but the MJ did not recover as significantly as the S&P 500 did. But IAN still looking just fine for the bulls, and we're watching 428, 447 is the most important short-term resistance level for me from here. CWeb has had great bounces the last 2 days. We're just looking for a daily higher low to form. Nice lower wick on today's action. Have to change the hourly trend to be confident the daily higher low has formed. So that means tomorrow bulls need to hold 25.05 and break 26.97. That would be the hourly trend change, and that would be our daily higher low. The bounces have been fantastic. 5-minute time frame. Look at yesterday's all-out dump, and there's going to be a little pattern here. All-out dump, bear flag, new low of the day, and that's the low of the day, and we bounce significantly from there. And by the time that bounce finishes, bulls win 9%. So again, even if you only get some of that, even if you only get half that move, 4.5%, that's a big win. What did today do? Dump,